Hello everyone, welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Vancouver, Washington. Thank you for joining me today. Before we get started, the housekeeping notes, all the product I'm using and all the dimensions are listed below. There's a link to my online store if you wish to purchase any of these products and help support my channel. There is my email address if you have any questions. There's a link to our Facebook group. We'd love to have you join that. And finally, remember to like, share, and subscribe and help me grow in YouTube world. We're gonna play with Ornamental Christmas today. And I think it's a pretty simple card. I've just put some black stars on the front of my envelope. You can get fancier if you wanted, but we are gonna make this, and this is an inlaid card. Let's see if I can show you. There, you can see this part is inside of that one. It's lots of trees and more trees. And embossing on the inside and out. You can emboss those if you want. I prefer not to because you have to, if you emboss on the front of your envelope, the post office gets really nasty about it and they make you put extra postage. So go with black. So there you go, that's what we're making. So what we're needing out of this set is we need the Merry Christmas, we need Wishing You Peace and Joy, we need 2 dies, the tree, and the star. Now this piece right here, I'm going to be using another die. This is from Textured Notes dies. This is that long skinny one. I'm using that one. And I think we're ready to get started. So I think we're going to do some embossing first. So get what we need for embossing. Need a long skinny white piece for embossing, and we need our insides of our card. So let's start with this. This is 4 by 5 1/4, and this is just a piece, I don't know, 8 1/2 by 1 inch. It's just what I cut off of a scrap of paper, just a scrap. So let's get started. So we're gonna do embossing first. I'm gonna grab some paper here. This is just my well-loved piece of scrap that I've been using forever. I may get a new one, maybe for Christmas. Okay, and we're gonna need our 2 stamps, and we need our Versamark and our Stampin' Buddy and my gold embossing powder, and I have my heat gun off the ready. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to run my Stampin' Buddy across here. And I'm doing a very thorough job today. I'm sometimes a little lazy in this area, but the wind is really howling today and I don't want things to stick. So let's grab me some tweezers. Let's grab the Merry Christmas first. This is Versamark, it's a watermark, but it's also very sticky and will allow our embossing powder to stick to it. Make sure you give it a firm press. And then I'm gonna cover this up, and my embossing powder's right here. I keep mine in a tub. I have for years. But you can keep it in the bottle. Use the embossing set to, put everything back in the bottles. But I'm just tossing some over, and I'm clicking off. Okay, that's good. We'll set that aside for just a second. So we got one more thing to stamp. Let me set that off. And that's our sentiment. Now, yes, I'm going to be stamping backwards. I put my label on backwards. It happens occasionally. Of course, now that we're getting rid of all of our red rubber, we won't have to worry about that. But I'm just going to stamp that right in the middle here. It will be the right way around when you see it. Cover up this again. You don't want to get powder into your Versamark if you can avoid it. can see it's the right way. Okay. But definitely cover up your powder before you get your heat tool going. I'm just going to take this and set it over here out of my way. And let's heat emboss these. Very easy. Watch your ears. I'm going to turn my gun on. And we'll watch the magic. Now, I'm just holding this steady. Do you see this? Once it starts melting, I will move my hand or move the card. Just like this. You don't need to be doing this thing. Just move it around lightly. You're going to move it. Yeah, I've seen people doing this. You don't need to. It works much nicer if you just hold it and just move your hand or move the card to where you want to emboss. One more. So I'm just moving my hand slightly, just to go right down the row. And once over again to make sure I got everything and give it a look-see. And yes, it does warp your paper a little bit, but that's okay. It doesn't hurt it. If you do it from the back side, it does help a little bit. I'll show you next time I emboss. So I'm sure it's Christmas time. I'll be doing more embossing. But so there's that. We need to die cut this one. And we need to stamp our not so beautiful envelope. You could do it with a different color, but I wanted to keep to the gold, white, and black theme. Just not going to put as many on this time. I'm just going to put 3 on this time. So there's the envelope. Okay, so we need to die cut that, and we're going to do with this one. Now, this is a piece of the, what's it called? Actual name, Modern Christmas DSP. It's 4 by 5 1/4. We're going to die cut this with this tree, and we're going to go in here towards the top more and as centered as possible in that piece of paper. And we also need a star. And I believe I may have already die cut the star out. I did. Just take a piece of gold and die cut a star. And I already did that to help speed things along. Now, the other thing you will need to die cut is, as soon as I find him, is another tree. And this tree I did out of the star paper. Make sure your stars are going the right direction when you cut it so the stars aren't looking sideways when you cut your trees. But I did it out of the black star paper. That's what I wanted. But you can use any combination of papers you wanted. This is just the one I want. So you need one of these. So let's do some cutting. I'm going to get big auto out here because my paper won't go through. It's too big to go through the small machine. And you have to bear with me because I had not grabbed any plates. So I have plate 1, the adapter plate 2, and 2 plate 3s. So let's start with our embossing first. And I'm going to use, since it is bowed a little bit, I'm going to use some Post-it tape. And I'm going to center right up inside of there. And I'm actually turning this slight angle here. You see I've got it at an angle. Never turn a flat. Try to avoid going flat through. It's too much strain on your machine. And it will cut better. And hang on here. I've got that down. I don't want to have that getting in my way. Oops, stay there. It slid on me. Got to do it anyhow. Sorry. Okay, let's get that in there. Now you could cut this out ahead of time, but it's awful. It's hard to line up on that little piece of paper. There's our little banner for the front of our card. Okay, now this one. So I want to line this up, and I actually used a ruler, and it's about not quite a full inch from the top and bottom, the two sides. So it's about the same distance. Move over this way just a tad. From here, here, and here. So it's about 7/8 of an inch, not quite a full inch. Doesn't have to be exact, but I wanted to get it as close as possible. Okay, and that should be everything we need to emboss. And die cut. Okay. Now, we're not throwing that one away because that beautiful tree is going to go the inside of our card now. And this is going to be the outside. So this one, we're going to build from the inside out. You know I like to do that. So we have basic black, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I'm going to give that a good burnish. And then we're going to put this. I'm just telling the paper who's boss. It wants to curl a little that way, and I'm telling it, no, we're going to go that way. Just use your hands to do it. And there's always a little gapping when you emboss, but it's fine. Just pressing that, holding it a little longer than normal because it was embossed. There we go. And then this I'm going to put right here on the inside of my card. There's no sense wasting a perfectly good Christmas tree. They're all going to look different because, you know, it depends on where you've cut into the paper. But if they look on their front of their card, they'll see where it came from. Okay, now it's this time for this piece. Now, you're going to be using a lot of dimensionals on this piece because it's all elevated. So if you have sides, I would recommend sides, edges of your dimensionals. Just one moment. And what I'm going to do, first, right around the tree, I'm going to position. You want to make sure you're back away from the tree, so, you know, about a quarter of an inch or less. You know, just a little space there. You don't want to be seeing things. Oh, I'm going to have just enough here. So about like that, okay? Then you got some sides, which I have a whole bunch right here in my hand. I'm going to cut those up into 4 pieces. If you don't, you can just use, you could use an embossing sheet if you have one. Not embossing sheet, but you know, the foam sheets. You could use more dots. It's whatever you choose to. But I'm using these on the sides because you do not want this thing to move. And it's DSP that's being elevated, and it, you know, it's thinner than cardstock. Oop. So make sure you stay back away from the side. Okay, we're still going to have to get a couple more. Oops, get back over there. Pretty good. I want to put like one more here and here, and one here and here in the middle, so we don't want sagging. And I knew I was going to need this. I'm getting to open a new package of dimensionals. Oh, that's a mini. I don't want minis. Hang on. I don't want mini dimensionals. I grabbed a package of minis. Just a moment. I thought I grabbed full size. So much for a thought, huh? There we go. Sorry about that. Now we'll open a new package of dimensionals. Now I get real excited again. Well, there's 3 sheets in here on these dimensionals. You don't go through them as fast as you might think. And someone said, where should you start on these? I just lift it this way and see what pops up. There is no right or wrong way to start dimensionals. Okay, so we got lots of dimensionals on there, but we're not done with those. Not quite done with those dimensionals. So we're going to peel off all this back. I'm going to start with the small pieces first in the inside, just because I don't want to get my hands stuck in to the outside pieces when I'm doing the inside. This is how you can do an inlaid card. It's pretty easy. And we'll start peeling off these sides. This is why sides are nice, because you can do a big area at one time. Like I said, you can use the strips. You could use the big sheets and cut them. It's whatever you want. Oop. And then you drop it. So there we go. So I'm only going to get really one shot at this when you do this many dimensionals. I'm put my glasses back on. I'm going to start here at the bottom and line up the bottom. Make sure the bottom is nice and straight. I'm not pushing down. Starting here, looking, and then committing. So if you start here and line everything up, it should all work out just perfect. So there's that. Okay, this tree, we're drop in just like this. Not yet though. Get out of there. This is when a pair of tweezers is nice. You're not supposed to drop it in until you get your adhesive on. Now, I'm a big opponent of glue, but this has foil on it. And if you get foil on the glue here, when you're trying to put this in, it will not come off. You can use glue, just be very careful. I'm going to use seal. I'm just putting like 3 strips of seal and 1 right across the bottom on this, because there is that gold there, and I don't want any glue in my gold. And once again, I'm going to bring this over here, and I'm going to line this up right in the hole and push it down. Now, if it doesn't go all the way down the way you want, you take your pick tool or your scissors and just sort of push it. It's sort of hung up right on the side there. And it's hung up a little bit there. Just push it down in the spot and then give it a little rub. And then you've got your inlaid piece there. Okay, next we have the inside done. So now it's time to do this one. Now you could use a long strip on this if you wanted. I'm just going to use some regular dimensionals, as we just used up all the long strips. I could take them off the sides, but I prefer not to. These work just fine, long as you make sure you have a flat side on either piece. And I think 4 or 5 might be enough. Yep, I'm thinking 5. Okay, so I put 5 on there, and I'm going to put that right in there. Okay, I'm going to try to line that up. And I haven't pressed down yet. Oh, that's pretty good. Now I'll commit myself. Okay, Now we need a couple more things. We do need that star I made. Where it is. Now we need a mini dimensional. And I'm actually, no, I'm going to use white. I was thinking about using a black one. Hang on. I have white mini dimensionals here somewhere. I just keep my dimensionals when they're open. Oh, there they are. Knew I had one. I just keep it in a little Ziploc bag. Keeps them all together. And I'm going to put that right there. Just using a little mini. You could use a big one. Just cut it in half. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right here on the tippy top of our tree. You see it right there. Okay. And then finally, we need some bling and some bows. A bow. So I decided to use on this, we are going to use the black and white and gold baker's twine. On this, and I've already just made me a tiny little bow. And then we're going to use the traditional sparkling sequins. We're going to use these gold colored ones. So let's put our, let's get a little glue dot here. You're saying, why didn't you tie that and it looks too perfect? That's because I used my bow tire. I don't tie bows as good as I used to anymore, and there is nothing wrong with using a little bow tie. You can buy little plastic and wood ones. They're cheap. They're little pegs you move around so you get the different size bows. This glue dot just does not want to cooperate. There he is. I'm going to put it right here on the top, but over enough we're not hanging off the card. But yeah, when your hands get older and stuff, and buy yourself, I mean, I think I have two. I think I bought one at a craft thing on sale. I think it was like less than $5 a couple years ago. They're not, you know, you can buy them in these little, you know, books and stuff. They're not bad. Saves the fingers. So we're going to use a big one. Put that there. And then we're going to use a medium one. Right about there. And a small one. Just like that. And that is our black and white inlaid card. So thank you for joining me today. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.